Okay, we're live. Greetings and welcome to Mass Influence. I'm your host, Miles Grant of Miles More Members, Health Club member engagement expert. Thank you for joining the teleclass today. Today's teleclass is all about how you can increase gym membership sales by up to 40%. And how you can also see a significant reduction in the members leaving your health club. Before we get started, what I'd like to do is some general housekeeping with you. If you're anything like me, you've got a short attention span. Firstly, just to get it straight out of the way, we're probably looking at about 30 to 35 minutes for this class. But in terms of your attention, I ask that, and I suggest, it'd be really useful to you to remove any other mobile devices that you've got in your space. Maybe your iPhone sat around and it's got its alert option on. Maybe you want to stick it on airplane mode for a while. And any other kind of mobile devices that you've got going on your laptop, such as Facebook and things like that. I am terrible at getting distracted. And sometimes I get really annoyed with myself because I think I'm like at the mercy to these applications. You know, I was with my girlfriend the other night and thumbing away on Facebook, and I just like put my phone down. Like we were in a deep conversation. I just picked my phone up and I'm thinking, what is wrong with me? You know, where am I in this day and age where I'm fully present? I'm meant to be with my girlfriend and I'm picking up my mobile phone. So look, if you want to get the maximum out of this session, then I strongly suggest that for the next 35 minutes, just put your phone away, close down Facebook, close down your Microsoft Outlook, whatever you've got, and just focus purely on this. You know, I have this belief that the fact that you're even watching me now says that you're a believer in your own personal education and your own growth and development. So if you've taken this amount of time to do it, don't now shortchange yourself. A few other suggestions: make sure you're hydrated. I've got my water here, my refilled Tesco bottle. That's not urine, just to clarify, that's lemon juice. I highly recommend lemon juice and water, really good for just breaking down bad acids and giving you more energy. Just gonna drink some water. Bit of a sore throat today. So yeah, so get hydrated. Also, if you slouched, you know, if you're kind of like this, sit upright. You know, like if you pay thousands to attend a seminar right now, and it was like the one thing that you've been desperate to attend and learn this year, you know, like it's your Elliot Hulse or Tony Robbins or whoever your kind of idol of seminars is, then sit upright, be fully present in the room the way that you would if you're watching there, because what you get out of this is solely on your shoulders. So it's really important that you are fully present. I also suggest a notepad with some notes. I've got notes here just so that I can stick to the kind of process that I want to go through with you today. So yeah, make lots of notes. Have a pen to hand and make lots of notes. There will be a recording of this, by the way, so you can revert back to it, and obviously you're going to want to share this with your teams as well when you find it useful. So let's get straight into it. So first and foremost, I've got three things that three outcomes for myself, for you, that I've got for this call. Number one is transparency. So I'm going to lay it all out on the line. This is not one of those. This is an online class. This is not a webinar where I'm just going to pitch to you. There will be, if that's okay with you, there'll be a point at the end where I will be presenting a workshop to you, and feel free to stick around with that. But this is going to be I'm just going to dump everything in my brain about membership sales and retaining members out into this session, into this online class. So pay attention. This is my best stuff. This is stuff that clients pay me thousands of pounds for. I'm going to dump every single thing that I can possibly imagine out. And I'm also going to share some personal stories with you as well. I really believe in you getting to know who I am as an individual. So I really want to be really straight up and transparent with you, and just be real. You know, I want to be really real with you. I also want this to be relevant. So I've already said the fundamental purpose of this webinar is to teach you some new and simple strategies that will enable you to, if applied, increase sales by 40% and reduce significantly the chance of people, your existing members, leaving your club. So if you're interested in those things, they're the specific outcomes that you're going to get from this call, so stay tuned. And the third thing is your continued education. If you're anything like me, you know, I probably read about 200 books, or should I say audiobooks now. I'm really into audiobooks because I'm a lazy book reader. It takes me weeks and months to get through a proper book. So I just buy the audiobook, and then I can, while I'm on the train or the tube, I can just listen to it. But if you're anything like me, your continued education is important to you. You're consistently reading new books and articles, 5 tips for this, 5 strategies for that. If you're like that, then this is what this online class is all about. It's all about you continue your education and helping you to increase sales at your health club and reduce the tribe that you already have leaving and going elsewhere. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can really get into the session. If for some reason the line breaks or I cut out, I will return to the call. So stay with me. Alrighty, okay. So firstly, what I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about me, and because if you're, well, I think you should be asking yourself the question, why the bloody hell should we listen to you? You know, what is it that's so special about you, and why is your message relevant? Well, first and foremost, I'm not special, I'm not any different to you whatsoever. But if I tell you a little bit about me, if that's okay, over the past 12 years, I've personally sold about 8,000 gym memberships. I used to work for a company called Creative Fitness Marketing from the age of 20. I'm 32 now. I know I don't look it. I'm 32 now, and from the age of 20, I spent 8 years working for Creative Fitness Marketing. Many of you may know it as My Zone. That's Dave Wright's baby. And yeah, I worked in some 130 gyms and health clubs and leisure operators up and down the country. Bodybuilder gyms, ladies only facilities, leisure centers, all kinds of different types of gyms and people. And help those gyms generate around £2.4 million in gross revenue. And my mum actually managed an independent gym for 19 years. That's how I joined CFM in the first place. And this all came to be me doing what I do when aged 12, my mum, who was an aerobics instructor at the time, decided to move us from Birmingham to Chesterfield. The reason being is she felt that Birmingham wouldn't be as good a start in life for me as Chesterfield. Chesterfield, for those that don't know, is a little cobbled market town. It's a lot more informal and a lot less kind of gang culture. I lived in an area called Ladywood in Birmingham, which my mum tells me was quite rough at the time, although I was never allowed out, so I never knew. But so we moved to Chesterfield when I was 12 years old, and my mum managed lifestyles then for the following 19 years. When I was about 18, I'd just finished my A-levels, and I'd got a part-time job in a phone retailer that have since gone bust, mentioning no names, and was having really a quite atrocious experience there working in my first job. I was like, wow, if this is what the job market's all about, then God help me. We had Creative Fitness Marketing came in to do a promotion for my mum's gym. And if you don't know what a CFM campaign, how it works, right? CFM send 2 people in for 6 weeks and generate as many new members as possible in that period of time. And it's fascinating because in this particular promotion, they must have drummed up more members in 6 weeks than we would get in 6 months. It was incredible. But what I was most fascinated with was there seemed to be a real sequential order to the way that they showed people around and signed people up. So midway through this promotion, I kind of said to, I think it was a girl called Kylie who was running the promotion, I said, how do I get a job? And she said, you know, what experience do you have? And I had no experience other than this phone retailer sales job that I was doing. But I had a bit of an outgoing personality, and hopefully that was enough for her to kind of refer me to Dave. So I went for this interview, made Dave I sold Dave a pen badly, really badly. But I went home after the interview with Dave. This is about 6 months later after the promotion. And I handed in my notice for the job. And I didn't even have the role with CFM. I just made the decision, age 18. I guess I could then because I didn't have any responsibilities. Made the decision, age 18, that I was going to quit the job. It wasn't for me. Like, there was no way that I was going to do that any longer. I wasn't getting any enjoyment about it whatsoever. My mum was furious. Anyway, a week later, Dave calls and says, I'd like to hire you. So fast forward 8 years later, 8,000 gym memberships sold, and I've had this amazing experience with CFM. Now, one particular experience stood out for me. I was working in a gym, which is quite close to my heart in Stevenage, called Active for Less, or R3 Leisure as it was then known. That's Declan Ryan's club. And a lady came in for a tour who was quite guarded, quite defensive, said that she was just here for a quicker look around, and that was it. And so I showed her around, and somewhere through the tour, I don't know what was going on in my brain, but something compelled me to kind of challenge her on why she was really there. Now, I'd been taught how to sell with CFM. I'd been in the company for about a year at this point, but I'll be brutally honest, I had a bit of a bad attitude. I was 20 years old. All I really cared about was, as long as I make enough commission this week to buy some new clothes and have a night out with the boys, I don't really care about the prospects that come in who need me to motivate them. I kind of thought, if you've come in, if you want to join, you join. If you don't, you don't. You know, I kind of just did the whole, if you see the facilities and they're right for you, you'll join. If they're not, you won't. You'll go somewhere else. And so this attitude was obviously limiting my potential, but more importantly, there was a lot of people who were coming in who weren't joining. And this lady was probably on the brink of being one of those. For some reason, I have no idea, still to this day, something in my brain snapped, and something in my gut instinct said to me, try a little bit harder with her. So I did. I tried a little bit harder. I said to her, you know, which is what I'm going to go through with you today, you know, why are you really here? And several questions later, she sat down with me back at reception, and she said, she paused, deep breath, and she kind of, her head was down, and she said, you know, I'm genuinely concerned that I put on loads of weight. I've been really stressed, and I've been really snapping at the kids lately. I don't feel happy with myself. My husband and I haven't been physically intimate with each other for months, and I'm really worried that if I don't do something about my health now, I'm worried that he may leave, or worse still, he'll have an affair. And then her eyes like glazed over, and she started to cry. And that was a real big one for me, because in that moment I realized that as fitness professionals, we're like the first line of defense. Like, we can prevent the 3 a.m. 999 call when a woman wakes up to find her husband in bed clutching his chest because he's having a stroke. If when he went to view a gym 3 weeks earlier, he'd been showed around in a way that made him feel really plugged in and comfortable in that environment, who knows how his health would have been different. And who knows what would have happened to this woman's marriage and her relationship with her kids had we not had that level of connection that day. And so I feel really wrapped up in this. You know, I effectively, a lot of people think that what I do is sales, but I have this firm belief that if you're fully congruently, authentically passionate about a subject, and you know that it will have a major impact on a person's life, then knowing how to sell that is vital, and it's your responsibility. You owe it to other people who need it to get good at selling it. I believe in exercise. It's like in me. You know, me and my girlfriend were in the kitchen this morning doing this crazy insanity style workout. You know, like we just love it. It makes me feel good. I feel more confident. I feel more authentic. I wouldn't be able to deliver this class in the level of energy, like my body's like vibrating, thinking about how passionate I am about us changing the face of the fitness industry. And I hope that you're on this class because you're a bit like me in that respect. I've been lucky. Since leaving creative fitness marketing, I've worked with some amazing clients, including Easy Gym, Fit for Less, Active for Less, and Fitness First. I work with them on, you know, member engagement, you know, how to provide a better service to their members so that their members stay long term, and also some of them on how to increase sales. That's my mum, by the way, my mum who managed Lifestyles, health and fitness in Chesterfield. I just wanted to show you her. I love her to bits. She's a big inspiration for me because my mum's gym, unfortunately, about 18 months ago, closed down. And ironically, Miles More Members started around 2 years ago. And it was at a point where I missed the chance to be able to help and save the gym. And I guess a big motivation for me is not wanting to see other independent gyms, especially, go down the route. And what I'm going to share on the call today are definitely some strategies that, if applied, will help you significantly increase sales and reduce that likelihood of people leaving. So I want to go through some statistics for you because I think it's really important to kind of, you know, tell you what I think is going on in the industry at the moment and give you some evidence to support my argument. That's me running a workshop with Active for Less last year. So I found this quite startling, actually. Less than two in 10 gym members will stay active past 3 months if they even make it to 3 weeks. That's a startling statistic. 6 to 7 times more likely, it's 6 to 7 times more costly to attract a new member. A customer is 4 times more likely to join your competition if a problem is service related. 4 times, that's incredible. 70% of gym members, gym membership buying experiences are based on how a customer is made to feel during a tour. And 44% of gym members agree that staff helping them achieve their goals contributes heavily to the satisfaction with their membership. Those statistics comes from Salesforce.com. So where's the world heading? Where are things moving at the moment? Well, I think there's a bit of a global problem. I used the example at the top of the session talking about me and my girlfriend and me spending time on Facebook while in her company. They call them smartphones. I call them dumb phones because I think that we're prone to be so elsewhere when we should be fully present. And I do believe that as a result of this, we as gyms have got to work harder to engage our members so that they stay plugged into us long term. You know, my girlfriend's a primary school teacher. She's got a child in her class who's got ADHD, attention deficit disorder, and he really struggles with his attention span. However, he's got his own YouTube channel, and he will spend endless hours, I'm told by his parents, he'll spend endless hours putting these videos and content together, teaching kids how to get to next levels of video games. So what that says to me is, and I'm not discrediting ADHD, I have a very minimal amount of knowledge about it, but what I do know is it suggests to me that the issue is more with how we're engaging and how we're teaching than it is with the delivery of our message. You know, if I kind of just read these slides out to you in a really boring fashion, you wouldn't be engaged. You know, there's a reason why we go to the cinema. You know, this week I went to see San Andreas, and, you know, it's 2 hours of just like non-stop action. Obviously, you've got Dwayne Johnson's biceps as well, which is obviously cool to watch, but it's entertaining. And I was fully plugged in for 2 hours because it was engagement first, content second. You know, it's a film effectively about earthquakes. if I really wanted to watch an informative documentary about earthquakes, I probably could have got one on YouTube. But I wasn't interested in the content. I was interested in the entertainment. So we've got to be thinking about what can we do to increase that level of engagement with people, to get away from this whole mobile phone, dumb phone thing that's going on. So what I want to do now is I want to ask you the question. Think about your experiences of customer service outside of your gym for a second. Maybe somewhere you've been recently, a hotel or a shopping center or something. Think about your good and bad service experiences. Maybe firstly, think about a bad customer experience and what was bad about it. Was it the product? Was it the service? What was bad about it? And then think about a good experience. Maybe you went to a hotel and the staff just exceeded expectations. I was in Marmaris, Turkey in April, and the staff were incredible. Like, I dropped a fork on the ground and Mehmet was there with a new fork. And on the last day, I think I did it again, and he went to get a new fork, and I said, Mehmet, you're gonna have to let me get a fork myself, otherwise I'm gonna get home to England and I'm gonna be like, where's Mehmet gone? So think about good and bad customer service. And the point that I'm getting to with this is, it's my belief that we remember the bad more than we remember the good. And a lot of the time, it's not the product that we associate with more in terms of bad or good. It's always the service behind it. You know, like I was in a restaurant recently and the service was poor. And it wasn't that it was poor, the food was really good, but there was such a lack of personality and engagement from the waiter that my experience of it was really underwhelming, you know. So how is that reflected maybe in your gym? What is the perception of the customer experience like in your club? And if you don't know, then I strongly suggest that you get out there and find out. It's not a long-term solution to rely on facilities and price point as your unique selling points. And here's why. Myth number one, the feature myth. On the screen, you have a power jogger. I don't know if you remember these. If you don't remember these, you're too young to be on this class. And if you do remember them, you're a bit old like me. Old school treadmill, the power jogger. But you know what? The significant thing about this is that what I see a lot of gyms doing now is I see them spending money on new kit without focusing on the benefits that the kit provides. And we're going to be covering this in more depth. So I see a lot of gyms at the moment now who, when they do a tour, they do the tour purely based on the facilities. You know, look at, here are our treadmills, here's our free weights, here's our studio where we do 40 classes a week. Features, people don't buy features, they buy the benefits behind it. So recently I got my mum an iPhone, but up until a few months ago, she didn't want one. I was like, Mum, I'll get you an iPhone, you'll love it. I don't need an iPhone, Miles, I'm happy with my Nokia. It's not a 3310, but it's the 2015 version of it. It's got Snake on it and stuff. So I bought my mum an iPhone recently, but the reason why she eventually wanted one was because her husband has one, and I video called him, FaceTime for those that don't know, video called him, and my mum was waving at me down the screen and shouting. I was like, Mum, you don't have to shout, I can hear you clearly. So anyway, my mum said, after seeing this video call, she was like, maybe I would like an iPhone. And I'm like, okay, cool. So the point I'm making there is my mum didn't want the features specifically of the iPhone. It was the benefits that she wanted. So just remember, features selling on features is like a myth. People don't buy features, they buy the benefits. Myth two is the traffic myth. Or as my good friend Vinay Palmer said the other day, he called it the sweaty sock gift box myth. And I love that, right? So we were having this conversation the other day. Vinay Palmer, check the guy out, vinaypalmer.co.uk, brilliant public speaker, presentation, sales expert. He's awesome. So we were talking the other day and because we have like these deeper, meaningful chats about customer experience and stuff. We had this conversation. We talked about, like, he ran a workshop and he talked about, imagine getting a gift box, right? Like a really nice gift box with like your name on it. To John from Miles. I hope you enjoy the gift. And like, you see this gift box, you're like, wow, you're like really excited. Because remember when you were a kid, presents was like the best. Well, presents is still great now. Well, who am I kidding? Presents are amazing. So you got this gift box, right? Then you open it and inside is sweaty gym socks. Sweaty, stinking, been in there for 3 weeks, gym socks. How does it make you feel? Rubbish, right? Exactly. And I think that this is what the traffic myth is all about. A lot of gyms I see now have this like outer packaging of like the newest cardio, free weights, functional frame, training, spectacular. Like facilities is like outstanding. Like, so the gift box around their offering, incredible. Then when you get there, you get this customer service that's like sweaty gym socks, like unengaged, unenthusiastic, uninterested fit pros. And it's so disappointing. So it's just really important that you think about your customer service and think, are we giving people a gift box with a gift that matches the outer wrapping? Like, you've really got to think about this. So what fit pros need more than ever to provide a gift box experience that matches inside as it does on the outside, more than ever, is the tools to hold what I call powerful conversations with members. I have a mentor, a guy called Rich Litvin, who uses this analogy of powerful conversations. And Rich says, Miles, look, if you want to get more members, get more clients, grow your tribe, what you need to do is you need to focus more on having more powerful conversations. So it's not volume of conversations, it's powerful conversations. And he equates it to the power of your conversation multiplied by the time that you spend in that conversation equates to committed clients. So what that basically means is the level of depth of which you go into with a member will determine the likelihood of them joining and staying at your club long term. So how do you put this into practice? Well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share with you a little bit of science. So for those that may not know, this is a guy called Tony Robbins, who is a human behavioral performance expert. He's like the David Beckham of personal growth development, right? And I'm a big Tony fan. Tony runs events in London for 5,000 people called Unleash the Power Within. And Tony has been a big catalyst for me doing what I do. I read his book, like Unleash the Power Within, probably about 8 years ago. And it was all about how to just become more confident, communicate more effectively, build better relationships with people. This book was a game changer. And he runs an event in London to 5,000 people. People walk on hot coals. It's incredible. And I actually have crewed that event and it's sensational. But I want to tell you a little bit about something that Tony does with his audience that I feel is really relevant to you, your staff, and your members. Tony talks about all human behavior, whether that be a gym member or your family or your daughter or your son, is all driven by 6 needs, so 6 human needs. And I want to specifically talk about the first 5 needs in terms of your gym member. So your gym member has to join your club or to stay at your club long term, has to feel certain. They have to feel certain that you're going to help them to achieve their goals and they're going to feel comfortable in your environment. So important that you get that. The second thing is they need variety. So again, like people playing on their iPhones, flicking through different apps, people's attention spans are getting even shorter today because there's more variety, there's more choice. Me and Sati will go to Costa Coffee on a Saturday afternoon and we'll treat ourselves to a cake. I'll pick a cake straight away. She stood there for like 5 whole minutes. Oh my God, I don't know whether to have that or that. I'm like, just pick. But it's because there's so much variety. She needs that variety. She needs to know that there's choice. But sometimes too much choice can blunt people making decisions. However, in a gym context, variety is good, because what it does is it enables you to keep your members engaged, plugged in, and motivated for the long term. And you need that variation of workout for them to stay with you. Third human need, significance. You need to make them feel like they're not just a number, if you've ever heard this kind of metaphor. So I am constantly drilling into my clients that before they go and focus on their new marketing campaign to drive in new members, they need to focus on how are they going to keep their current audience plugged in. And the best way is to make them feel significant. Things like member of the month, member of the week, member competitions, just talking to going around the gym floor saying, how's your training going? All are tools that adhere to a person's need to feel significant. Even those people that say they just want to go in, do their thing and not communicate and get out, even if you give them 3 seconds of significance by just acknowledging them with your eyes and giving them a kind of like, are you okay, will feed their need for significance. Love and connection, fourth human need, is probably the reason why many people do classes or have a training partner. You've seen it, people that train with partners stay longer than those that don't. There is a statistic on that. I haven't got it to hand, but I have seen it. So, help people buddy up, help them make friends. Even the solo trainer who likes to go by himself, if you paired him up with someone who had a similar kind of training ambition or training standard, I guarantee he or her would have their motivation would be elevated because they would have that connection. And the fifth human need I want to talk about is growth. And growth is so important because if you're not growing, what's the point of going to the gym? I take a training diary to the gym every time I go so that I can log my workout progression, so that I know that I'm always lifting heavier or lifting more reps or running further or faster or something. I'm always measuring my progress. If you don't measure, how will they know whether they're achieving or not? And if they don't know, they're going to get bored and they'll stop. It's really important. And the last human need we will talk about is contribution. And I think that more plays into your hands. The fact that you're still on this webinar, on this live class now, says to me that you want to make a contribution that is greater than just your income. Like the fact that you own a gym business or run a gym business says to me that my perception of you is that you're not running a gym business for yourself. You're doing it because you want to help others. And I hope that your gym staff are the same. So my feeling is that the greater the level of contribution that we give, the more likely we are to build relationships with our existing tribe that makes them want to stay long term, refer their friends, and just have a more enjoyable experience of being with us. So how do we put all this into practice? I'm just going to drink some water. There's a few things that you need to know that if you implement will have a huge impact on your ability to close more sales and retain your members. First thing is the Guess Who game. Who remembers Guess Who, by the way? Like, if you've never played Guess Who, again, you're too young to be on this class. If you're anything like me, you used to love Guess Who, right? So for those that don't know, and you're now scratching your head, go, what's Guess Who? Guess Who is a game where you would take it out of the box. You had probably about 20 faces on like cards, and your opponent would have the same. You'd turn it round so you couldn't see each other's faces, and then you'd like flick down the faces when the person who is asking you the questions gets something right. So someone would say, have they got a mustache? And they would flick down all the ones that haven't got mustaches. Have they got blonde hair? I'm probably getting the explanation of Guess Who wrong, right? Because I haven't played it for years. But the Guess Who game in a gym context is when a person comes in for a tour, you've got to ask them you've got to find out who they are. Like you can't just go straight in and show them the facilities. Like you need to know like where they're coming from. So here's a really basic example straight away. So a friend of mine owns a gym in East London. A guy came in for a tour and I was making a coffee behind reception, right? And this guy comes in and he's got an Eastern European accent, and he says, I said, hi, I'm Miles. None of the guys are around. I'll show you around. What was your name? He said, he said, you can call me Andrew. I said, okay, I can call you Andrew, or is that your name? He said, no, it's not my name, but it's easier to pronounce. I said, okay. Now I'm someone who is like obsessed with building good relationships with people. I'm like, I'll push it like to boundaries that most people won't go, right? And that's what I do in my work. I get other people to do that too. So I said, okay, so what's your name? And he said, it's Andros. I said, okay, Andros? He said, oh, no, nearly. Andros. He said, yes, you've got it. Brilliant. So I spent probably real time about a minute trying to get Andros's name pronounced right, but we eventually got there. I showed him round. We talked about his goals, his needs, his wants, etc., and he joined. Months later, I've come back to the gym to see my friends, and Andros is there working out. I go into the gym, and I'm like, Andros, how you doing? How's your training? He's like, Miles, I'm good, thanks, man. I'm really good. Like, workout's good, training's good. I've lost some weight, really enjoying it. Thanks, man. And I noticed he remembered my name, and I thought that was really cool. And there's a simple reason why I remember my name. I remembered his. I ran a workshop recently, and we spent about 45 minutes talking about the importance of using a person's name when you show them around. I said at the top of this session that this stuff is very common sense, but not always common practice. I'll never make bold claims that I'm reinventing the wheel here, but some of this stuff does get missed. And using a person's name is an essential component if you want to build rapport and show people that you really care. I use the statement, treat people better than they expect. That comes from a close friend of mine, Julian, who is always doing that. Like, whenever he's out in shops and local businesses, he's always asking people how their day is. And it makes him feel good, and it makes the recipient feel good. You've got to do that with your gym members. So the guess who game is things such as, somebody walks into the door, I ask them, have you been a member of a gym before? If they say yes, I say, where did you train? Did you get results? How long did you go there for? Did you get guidance? Did you get support? What made you join that gym? What made you leave that gym? If they've never been a member of a gym before, I'll say, what made you make the decision to come in today? What has held you back from doing it until now? Like, what is it that's kind of been the stumbling block for you? The guess who game is so important if you're looking to build rapport when people walk through the door. And you can do the guess who game at any point. So when someone's a member, how's your training going? It's going well, thanks. What kind of training are you doing at the moment? I'm doing more functional training. Okay. What have you been using? The TRX, the battle ropes? Oh no, I haven't used the ropes. Let me show you the ropes. And then build rapport by showing them the ropes. Guess who game, so important. If you're not doing it already, start doing it. This stuff is absolutely gold. Remember, people don't buy the features, they buy the benefits. And a big part of benefit is that kind of human to human connection that only comes from the guess who game. People buy people. It's an old cliche, but they really do. Next thing you want to do is an exercise called past, present, future. Now, I see a lot of people in gyms, or I hear a lot of people talking about the reason why they're not a member of a gym. And I think the big thing that comes up for me is people compare themselves unfavorably to others. I know because I've done it, and I probably do still sometimes do it. There's a guy in the gym who's in better shape than me. I'll watch him, and it's so important that you're not comparing yourself to other people, because if you're doing that, then you're obviously, people are at the mercy of kind of achieving their goals, because then they're so busy thinking about what other people are doing. So past, present, future is a really important thing to do to stop you from comparing yourselves to others. So how do you do it? Well, what I do is I do something called the 1 to 10 scale. So the 1 to 10 scale is it starts off by asking the question, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the fittest you've ever been, and 1 being, you know, the least healthy you've ever been, where are you right now? And what that does is that gets the person to think about themselves as their best self, and then gets themselves to think about themselves as their least in shape self. Then what you'd say is, you know, where were you when you're at your fittest and healthiest? You know, maybe they said a 5 for their now, and they'd said an 8. And how did that make you feel, being an 8? Made me feel good. I felt a lot better about myself. What were you doing differently? I was going to the gym 2 or 3 times a week. Fantastic. So that's an indicator that would be something to get you back to that level. And when you were in your, you know, when you're at your least healthiest, you know, how did that make you feel? I didn't feel very good. And what were you doing differently then? Well, I wasn't exercising at all. Okay, cool. So past, present, future gets the person to think about themselves in terms of comparing themselves to themselves, which is really empowering, because what that does is that takes the light off their need to compare to others, and instead gets them to think about themselves as their best self, their least good self, and where they are now. So it enables them to see, okay, so that was the past, you know, which has benefited me both positively and negatively. Here's where I am now, and here's some of the changes that maybe I need to make. And that's when you come in, where you help them to know what they need to do to get to where they want to get to, i.e. back to being an 8 or even maybe further than that. The next thing you want to do is you want to break the coconut. So when people show people around a gym or they're talking to members, what they often do is they just talk in terms of surface level. So, you know, like a coconut, that outer layer is like furry, like you wouldn't dream of eating that. You'd be crazy if you did, right? So the outer layer is where you say to someone, you know, what would you want to achieve? And they say, oh, you know, just general health. And I'm like, that's, you know, BS, right? Because I don't believe anyone does something just to improve their general health. Like, people don't go to work just to pay the bills. They do it because they want holidays, a better leverage of time, and to be able to do more of the things that they want to do outside of work. So you need to, your job is to break the coconut and find out what the goals specifically are. So if somebody says they want to lose 3 stone, what do they specifically want to lose the 3 stone for? Is it a holiday? Is it an ongoing lifestyle choice? Maybe it's a special event. Find out what that goal is specifically for. And if you do that and you get the person to verbalize it, there's an increased likelihood that they're going to join your club and stay at your club long term. Now, have you ever been to the doctor? And of course you have. Everyone has. It's a silly question. When you go to the doctor, it's been a long morning already. When you go to the doctor, you're giving, and you tell the doctor, maybe let's say you've got some kind of problem with your, I don't know, your skin or something. So I have eczema. When I go to the doctor will say, you know, what's going on with your skin? And I'll tell him some of the specific symptoms that I have at the moment. And what he or she will do is give me a prescription that gives me solutions to my problem. If the doctor didn't ask the questions as to the problems I'm currently having, he or she may give me an inhaler for asthma, which would be completely the wrong prescribed solution, because the problem is not breathing, the problem is eczema. So the point I'm making here is for you to find out, to build a deeper connection with your members and with your prospects, you need to find out specifically what their problems are. If their problem is weight loss, then you're going to want to show them some exercises specific to weight loss. If a lady says to me, I want to tone up my bingo wings, AKA the backs of my arms, you don't want to show her a shoulder press exercise. You want to show her some form of tricep extension, because that's going to obviously work that area. It's really important that when you're showing people around and when you're talking to your members, that you're always giving them the appropriate prescription to their problem and not just some generic prescription. Something that gets missed in terms of gym tours is the test drive. So imagine you're going to buy a new car, right? This car's going to be about £12,000. You arrive at the car dealership and you know, the guy shows no interest in you whatsoever. He just says, you know, what, you want to buy a car? And you've said, well, I'd like to have a look at some cars first. He says, you know, how much have you got to spend? you tell him you've got about £12,000 and he says, okay, well, that car over there would be perfect for you. Let's get the paperwork. You're going to be like, whoa, can I look at the car and maybe try it first? And here's where the test drive comes in. Most fitness professionals, most gyms that I see do not enable a prospect to test drive before they join. What a test drive equates to is two things. One, you demonstrating a specific piece of equipment that allows a person to achieve a specific goal. And two, is allows the person to use it before they join. There's no way, well, I don't think you'd be crazy if you did, that you would pay £12,000 or whatever you're spending on a car and be given the keys for this car without sitting in the car and testing it before you drive, even taking it off for a spin, before you buy it. It's a big commitment, it's a big purchase. And I think that a lot of gyms are missing the boat with this because they're not enabling people to test drive before they actually join. So it's so important that if you want to convert an extra 40% of people to join your club, then you need to be using the test drive example when you show people around. If a lady says she wants to tone up her bingo wings, you better show her and allow her to have an actual go of a tricep extension exercise. Otherwise, how is she going to know and get that feeling that that is right for her? So important that you test drive. And one of the final things I want you to take away today is the 3 closes. So this is very specific to closing sales. There's 3 ways to close. There's visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Visual, you see to learn. There's 3 types of ways that we learn. So if a person is a visual person, they're going to be making their buying decision primarily on the look of the facilities. And so you're going to ask questions such as, could you see yourself training here? And that's really important. Could you see yourself training here? If at this point you don't know whether a person is a visual person, because you may not know, then you want to ask all 3 questions. So could you see yourself training here? Really, really valuable question. The second thing is where people hear to learn. So that's why I prefer audiobooks to physical reading books. Hear to learn is, how does everything sound? So everything I've said about the way that will help you in terms of your goals, how does everything sound? And if they're an auditory person, then they're making their buying decision based on the words coming out of your mouth, then that will be an important factor, an important question for that prospect. And the third one is kinesthetic, where people move to learn. And this is why the test drive is so important. If a person is making their buying decision based on their gut instinct, their emotions and how comfortable they feel, like they've, that intimidation kind of person, that person who's never used a gym before, you need to ask the question, how do you feel? Like, do you feel comfortable? Like that tricep exercise I've just shown you, like for your bingo wings, did that feel good? Like, did that feel like something you'd want to do? So kinesthetic is where people make their buying decisions on their emotions and their gut instinct. So you need to ask those 3 closes. So that is just an overview of the work that I do. Here's a really important thing with this. Like, I hope that you will use this webinar, you'll use this online class, that you'll share it with your team. I really highly suggest that you do. But know this, right? So we learn best by doing. So the best way that you're going to get this to work is if you physically go out now and apply this stuff. If you were to imagine you've got 2 people, right? You've got one person who reads a book on exercise and another one who just gets into the gym and does it. Who's going to achieve results faster? The person who does it, right? Like, we learn best by doing. Like, it's all well and good to read about something and watch this now, but unless you actually go out and implement it, nothing will happen. Like, unless you go and try the 3 closes, try the test drive, nothing will happen. Like, you have to physically go out now and implement this stuff to get it to work. Like when you're personal training your clients, like, you're not doing any of the work, you're just facilitating the progress. And that's what I do with my workshops. Like, that's why people pay me to come to work with them, is because they want to have that support and that accountability to implement. So if you're one of those people that want that, you want to stay tuned now, because I'm just going to kind of go through with you how you can further your education with me if you're interested. So I hope that's okay. Stay tuned. So the Mass Influence certification is this training that we've just announced as a live training, right? So it's me in the flesh at your gym teaching you this stuff live. It's a 2-day on-site certification training, which is £1,994. With that, you also get a personalized member engagement plan. So I specifically tailor a bespoke plan so that you know how to engage your members, because obviously your members are different from members in another gym, right? So I will design a personalized member engagement plan so you know exactly how to communicate more effectively, specific with your audience. And then after that, you'll also get 3 months private mentoring with me online, which will be there to hold you accountable. Because you know, like how I use the metaphor of a personal trainer, you help to fundamentally facilitate a person's progress to ensure that they follow through on the things that they say they're going to do. So that will be included as well. The price for that normally is £3,991. However, if you book it off the back of this class, it's just £1,995. There's no further discounts for that. But if you want to do this training, it's just £1,995. Now, if you want to do that training, I have set up a page where you can actually go ahead and book it. All you need to do once you've booked it, you'd go into your PayPal account and book it. All you need to do once you've booked it is drop me an email with 3 or 4 dates that you're available to do that workshop, and we will collaborate diaries, and I will come up and run the days for you. The days are a lot of fun. It's intense. I will stretch you. You will be out of your comfort zone. You're going to be forced to do things that you currently maybe don't feel comfortable doing. But again, to use the personal trainer metaphor, you know that if a member comes to you and says, I want to achieve this result in this time frame, you force them out of their comfort zone and you get them to do things that they don't currently feel comfortable doing, because you know that your growth happens at the end of the increase in sales. For you to significantly reduce the likelihood of people leaving and going elsewhere, you're going to have to do new actions, and you're going to have to apply this stuff on a daily basis. And that's why there's the 3 months of mentoring and the bespoke plan in there for you to ensure that you don't just do this stuff once, but I will ensure that you do it year upon year upon year upon year. You know, like every single one of my clients has the accountability program to ensure that they follow through. You know that if a person joins your gym and does it by themselves versus a person joins your gym and has a structured diet plan and training plan and personal training plan, they achieve results faster because they have accountability, structure, and someone forcing them to follow through on the things they say they want to do. So look, if you want to see an increase in sales, a significant increase, then all you need to do is go to the following web link. And if you can't click on it via the page here, then there will be a book now page below if you're not already on the page. Mass Influence, milesmembers.leadpages.net/mass influence. That is the link to book it. And any further questions about what we've covered today, you can drop me an email at miles@milesmoremembers.com. But for now, have a fantastic rest of the day, and I will look forward to seeing you very soon. Take care.